She waited every Sunday. Same bench, same red coat, same black umbrella, even when it wasn't raining. People came to call her the woman in waiting. Tourists took photos of her. Local kids made up stories about her being a ghost or a spy, but none of them knew the real story. None of them knew why she was there, what she was waiting for, or what it had cost her. 10 years, 520 Sundays, waiting for one promise. Her name was Elise. 10 years ago, she had been 29, bright-eyed, a graphic designer who loved jazz records and quiet bookstores. She wasn't the kind of woman who drew attention, but that summer, in a train station coffee shop, she met someone who noticed the way she always rearranged her croissant before eating it. His name was Thomas. He had a laugh that made other people join in without knowing the joke, and a restlessness in his eyes like he was always thinking of somewhere else. Their conversations started with spilled coffee and turned into 10-hour walks, the kind where you forget to check your phone, where silence feels like a shared language. Thomas wasn't from the city. He was a freelance journalist, one of those people who packed a bag and left at the sound of a story. But with Elise, he lingered. A week turned into two into a month. He started saying things like, "Maybe I'll stay a while longer and you make this place feel like home." But then came the assignment. War-torn country. Dangerous, but career-changing. He hesitated. Elise told him to go. She smiled and said, "If you're meant to come back, you will." They sat on that very park bench the night before he left. Rain misted over the city like breath on glass. He held her hand, looked her in the eye, and said, 10 years. If I'm not back in 10 years, stop waiting." He kissed her forehead and walked away. He sent a postcard from the airport, then one from Istanbul, then silence. At first, she thought it was the war zone, bad connections, danger. She told herself he'd call when it was safe. She checked newspapers, watched news channels, read every article with a byline that might be his. Days passed, then months, then a year. People told her to move on, that he was probably dead, that even if he wasn't, someone who didn't write for over a year wasn't worth waiting for. But Elise had made a promise, too. She told him she'd wait 10 years, not forever, just 10. So she lived her life, but not completely. She took freelance work so she didn't have to leave the city. She never deleted the messages he'd sent. She went to that bench every Sunday at 4 p.m., the time he'd promised to return, if he could. Friends came and went. Some tried to set her up. Some stopped inviting her altogether. Her mother stopped asking about Thomas after year 3. But Elise didn't stop. By year 6, she was a legend in the neighborhood. The woman with the red coat. People left flowers near her bench on Valentine's Day. One year, a teenage girl sat beside her and asked, "Is this about love?" Elise replied, "It's about a promise." But there were moments, quiet, brutal moments, when her faith cracked. On New Year's Eve of year 7, she drank too much wine alone and almost deleted his last voicemail. She didn't, but her finger hovered over it longer than she'd admit. In year 8, she considered moving, just for a few months, but she couldn't. Then came year 9. She started having dreams, vivid ones, of him walking up the path, grinning like no time had passed, of her missing the moment because she was late or looking the other way. She began writing letters to him in a notebook, things she'd say if he returned. Little updates. They shut down the bakery where we first met. You'd hate the new place, too many smoothies. By the 10th year, people stopped asking. Even the curious ones. They assumed she'd gone a little mad. A woman shaped by her waiting. But Elise, she felt lighter. The 10 years were nearly up, and she had kept her word. That Sunday, the last one, was cloudy. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just a still gray afternoon. She arrived at 3:55, sat down, smoothed her coat, clutched the umbrella even though it wasn't raining. By 4:30, he still hadn't come. By 5 o'clock, she was crying, quietly, not the kind of tears that come from sudden heartbreak, but the ones that drip from the slow ache of acceptance. She stood, looked at the path one last time. No one. She turned, ready to walk away for good. And that's when a boy, maybe 9 years old, tapped her on the elbow and said, "Are you Miss Elise?" She froze. Yes. The boy handed her a letter, a real letter, worn edges, foreign stamps, handwritten. She read it. It was Thomas. He'd been captured, not by enemy soldiers, but by time. Injuries, amnesia, hospitals in remote places, years lost to trying to remember who he was and where he belonged. It took him nearly a decade to piece it together, to find her name, the city, the bench. He hadn't written because he couldn't, not until now. The letter ended with 5 words that shattered her heart open again. "I never stopped loving you." She returned to the bench the next Sunday, this time not to wait, but to hope. And the week after that, he came. Slower, grayer, but with the same restless eyes. She didn't cry, she just said, "You're late." And he said, "You waited." 10 years, 1,000 doubts, one promise. Some people wait for signs, others wait for fate. But Elise, she waited for love. And sometimes, love waits too.